What's up, guys? Synthetic Division here. So today's video is going to be an interesting one. Uh, this one came about because of a channel subscriber who recommended or mentioned it, and then I started digging into it, and I was like, "This is going to be interesting." So why not? I dropped the money for it, and I bought it. So this is a GreenBit SatBoy V2. Okay, so this is an interesting one. This was made in Australia. It's a company, GreenBit Technology, based out of Perth, Western Australia, I believe is what it says. Uh, and it's an app controlled miner, similar to it's 1.1 terahash, 20 watts is the advertised rate. We'll test that. We'll get it all plugged in, but it's completely app controlled. So you download an app. There's no, you don't have to register or anything like that. You just download the app and let it go. And there's no moving parts, meaning it's completely passively cooled. So the teardown should be very interesting because of that. Hopefully, I can tear it down. Of course, we're going to try to. But I find that fascinating that they're able to do a fully passive controlled deal. So let's grab the box. Let's dig into it. Let's cut this right here. I haven't opened it yet, so you guys get to join me. So we got a little GreenBit sticker. That's pretty cool. And then it looks like we got our assembly and connect, and then choose your type of pool, and do not operate the device without mounting it on included stand. Okay, so there's a stand, so there's a little bit of assembly required. I don't mind that. So let's see if we can get this out of the box nicely. Okay, well, that's the whole device. Holy crap, look at that. It's a heatsink. Literally, it's a giant heatsink. So there's a second box in there. Nothing else, just this little black box. So let's pop this one open. Holy jeez, dude, that's crazy. Kind of a unique deal, and so I was really curious. It looks like it has some stand legs and power brick. Okay, so let's take a look at the power brick. Obviously, they sent it for an American plug. Thankfully, I was going to get a little worried about that. Let's take a look at our power brick here. See if you guys can see that. So it looks like it's a 25-watt power brick. Okay, interesting. And then we have our legs. So let's see how you put those on. Okay, looks like they just slide into there. Easy enough, I suppose. Maybe. Wonder if they're, oh, they are keyed per side. Okay, interesting. That'll keep you from incorrectly keying it up. Okay. And there it sits. That's it. That's so weird. It's such a cool looking, it's kind of unique. Like, I'm kind of gushing here, guys. It's definitely unique in its own sense. Um oh, look at that. The legs just needed to snap a little bit more. Right back here, they kind of clip in a little bit better. Power plug on this side. Looks like a reset hole and an LED indicator. So this is literally a giant heatsink. Like, a whole thing, one heatsink. So let's go ahead and get it plugged in, and then I will download the app, and we'll see what it looks like. I'm very curious about it. So kind of cool. Nice thick cable though. Look at the cable here. This isn't a. I think I have some. Oh, I don't have a cheap bit axe next to me here, but that's a pretty thick boy cable, and it's got a 90-degree connector. Very cool. That'll make it nice for just not being in the way here. So let's get this power strip. I might have to turn it up a little bit because we're going to be connecting like that. And I'm going to connect right here. And it looks like we have our indicator, which is flashing orange. So let's get the app installed. Okay, so app is installed. And so it's going to walk you through a setup. So let's go ahead and start it. It says follow these steps to connect. Configure your GreenBit miner companion. Okay. So you add it. Okay. Miner defaults. Okay. Configure pools. select pools, and pre-provisioning. Okay, so it looks like it was real fast install of the app, which is kind of cool. So you'll just click here, and then you just scan for nearby devices. It's going to want to access, so we'll just let it access so it can scan. Okay, well, that's not cool. Oh, Bluetooth. Gotta turn the Bluetooth on. I never have my Bluetooth on. Let's go back. Scan devices. Hey, there we go. Scanning for 2.4 Wi-Fi networks. Yep, and I'm on my Wi-Fi network now. So let's go ahead and connect, get my credentials typed in real quick. So you just click the name that you want to connect to and then type in your password. So remember, anytime you use autofill, remember not to leave the space on the end. That goes for everything. Connect. So now where it says finalizing and applying encrypted network credentials to your GreenBit device. Please wait. I'm going to charge the battery on my phone. All right. I'll head back to the dashboard and follow the instructions. Okay, so click right here. And there's our hardware. Okay, so now we need to add a pool. Interesting. So let's go solo. So let's see. Primary and backup. Okay. So interesting. So now pool. It won't let me select any of those. That's okay. GreenBit Tech. Oh. Okay. Well, that we don't need their tech support help. We just need to configure the settings for this. So we will say, we'll miner name it. We're going to just name it GB hash synthetic. And our miner color is black. Okay. Right now we're only drawing 8.2 watts, which I mean is probably because it's just powered on. We've got everything we need. So let's, I'm gonna pause the video. We'll get it set up on my credentials for mining. So hang on just a second, guys. Okay, so I figured it out real quick. So what you got to do is set it up. There's only 3 pre-configured pools, okay? So you have CK pool right here for solo. You have public pool for solo. And then you have ocean, which we're definitely not using ocean after what happened recently. So we'll use solo CK pool. That's okay. So we're going to go ahead and add our Bitcoin wallet address and hit save. And then I'm definitely probably not going to use public pool either. So now we should be able to go pool and primary, and then we're going to save and reboot. And then that should get us mining. And she's not getting hot yet, but we're also only sitting at about 8.6 watts. In fact, it just probably restarted now. We're hitting 8. Now we're going up to 12, 13. So now we should be, looks like we should be hashing now. And we're at 19 watts, 19.2. So let's see. Okay, worker ID running optimally. And we're hashing. And I'm not seeing the hash rate here. So interesting. Yeah, definitely not going to be going to ocean. Oh, gotta reload that. Go back here. Hey, there we go. So we're 883 terahash. Looks like it takes a little bit of time to catch up with the UI, but that's okay. So it's very interesting that this is just a full app controlled miner, no screens, no nothing. it's very cool. I kind of like this idea because this is one of those like set it and forget it styles. Now, obviously, it is massive in size. It's huge. Okay, I mean, think about it. This is my hand, and I have fairly decent sized hands. And here's my thermal camera, for example. So it's pretty big. Okay, this is a giant heat sink. So it might be one of those things where it could be good for uh like using it as a little room warmer or something like that. I don't know exactly how hot this gets. We'll find out. We'll let it run and test the thermals on it if we can. But that's the other thing I want to show you is it's a very basic desktop. So, like I said, solo CK pool, uh, or our 1.049 terahash or 1249 gigahash work submitted. Yep, block solution. So this is straight Bitcoin, and it doesn't look like it allows you to set any. Oh, look at that. We can go to pool up here, add a custom pool. So here we go. Now maybe I can move this to Mining Dutch because that's what I'd rather have. Personally, I run on Mining Dutch for now. Dutch. Okay, so we'll create Mining Dutch. And so then we can add all our stuff. So let me go in real quick and I'm going to add all the stuff here for the Dutch. And that should be pretty helpful. Okay, so hang on a second. Let me get it over on Mining Dutch. Okay, guys, so I can confirm you can switch your pool. So you just come over here to this tab right here where it shows all the pools, right? So I just set up at Mining Dutch, but you can just come up here and add your own custom pool. Now, one thing I will say, for example, on the Mining Dutch, you can't do the dot worker name at the end. So it still works for Dutch, but at some places it may not work. So, like for example, you'd use your username or your Bitcoin wallet address, and then dot or period, then the username. So that may not be possible as just a pre-warning. So, but yeah, it works. I can confirm. I am currently solo mining on Mining Dutch, which is awesome. I had to check my wallet real quick. Obviously, it takes a little bit of time to catch up on Mining Dutch, but yeah, it's there. I can confirm it, and we're hashing at 1.2 on this particular guy right now. In fact, we hit 1.3 according to this. And that does say gigahash, but yeah, it's 1.3 terahash. I can feel the heat radiating out of the heater now. Let's fire up the thermal camera. I'd be curious to see if it's centralized and where and how. And to be honest, this would be super easy to cool if you could, just throw a fan at it next to it. You know what I mean? But one thing I will say is there's no adjustability as far as clock settings and stuff like that. What you get is what you get. And yeah, so we're starting to see, you guys can see that. Let's push that back just a little bit so you guys can see. So it looks like the chip is dead center of the heatsink because you can see where it's getting hot. Like over here, it's a little bit cooler. Down here, it's a bit cooler, but right there in the center is where the chip is. So the next thing to do is we're going to take this over the bench and we're going to see if we can open it up because now I'm curious. I'm really, really curious about this thing. So give me a second, guys. We'll get set up over at the bench and we'll check it out. So be right back, guys. Okay, guys, we're back. So I've just been kind of inspecting it. I took the two legs back off. And honestly, this is just 3D printed. So I'm assuming we are going to have to crack the case open. And I was looking inside here to see if I could see any screws or anything like that. And I don't really see anything. But this feels very 3D printed. So I think our first guess is just to try to get a spudger in here, a pry tool maybe, and we'll try to pry it open. Oh, that's a pretty tight fit, so hopefully nothing is glued. It doesn't feel like it's glued, but man, oh man, I don't want to break anything. Only had it for a day, you know? So, hey, look at that. I think we got it. There we go. Okay, watch out for this on the back. This looks like a Wi-Fi antenna. So let's turn it over, and it sure is. So let's pop this. Be super careful with these Wi-Fi antennas, guys. They're pretty fragile. Pop that off. So there's our Wi-Fi antenna. We got a heatsink back here. And we got this massive heatsink that looks like it is bolted on all the way around. And I can see the screw holes through here through the top, if you can, right there. So let's take these off. Let's. It looks like it goes all the way through. All the screws do. So we're just gonna pull all the screws off, and let me grab my Altair screwdriver real quick. I still can't find my iFixit screwdriver. So I'm thinking my daughter might have stolen it because she is working on a remote control car right now. So you know how it is. Kids get into your tools and then they disappear. So you know, I'm sure this probably is not good for any warranty stuff. So I highly recommend that you do not do this. But this is what we do on the channel, guys. We tear these things apart. We look at everything. I've probably avoided more warranties than I can keep track of. Warranties are like suggestions. But at the same time, we can be super careful about doing this. So we're just going to go and see, that feels like the board was given a little bit of springiness. So let's go easy on the board here. So far, aesthetically, I like this thing. I think it's pretty cool. You know, a completely passive cooled miner is kind of a neat concept. So there we go. Oh, look at that. There's the thermal paste. And there's our ASIC chip. So this whole side of the board is bare. Everything that is needed is right here on the back, which is kind of cool. So let's take this all the way apart. Let's get this whole thing apart. I've got to see this thing completely torn apart. Because just because I can see the board and the ASIC and stuff doesn't mean I can see everything. I'm one of those kids that when I was younger and as a kid, I got in a lot of trouble for tearing stuff my parents had apart. For example, their vacuum. So it's what I do. At least now I'm instilled with the knowledge to fix things. Okay, so that's how it works. That's literally how it works. That's so crazy. It's this small board, massive heatsink. This heatsink will put any heatsink to shame. I promise you that much. This thing is crazy. And then this little 3D printed shell right here. There's an indicator, clear, translucent right there. Wi-Fi antenna on the back. I mean, this is pretty straightforward and simple, guys. It's kind of cool. Like, man, I'm kind of like awed by this because I honestly thought this thing would be super complicated inside, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. We have a TPS, we have inductor coils, similar layout of a bit axe almost, but everything's on one side. There's our reset button. There's our power cord, our barrel jack. Yeah, interesting. So let's see. It's similar design as far as what the back of a bit axe looks. So I'm going to clean this stuff up real quick and I'll be right back and we'll look at the board in detail. All right, guys, so we're back. So it is a BM1370 chip. Let's see if I can give you guys a nice close-up of that guy. Right there. And then it uses the same inductor coil as most of, or the TPS as the bit axes. It does use an R30 inductor coil, which is slightly bigger. And it does have a slightly different ESP32. I don't know if we can get you guys to see that. Maybe the reflection is the light. Let's see if we can see that right there. So it's an S3 Room 1U, which is slightly different. There is some different tech specs. I won't get into too much of the tech specs of the ESP, but there's a lot of different ESPs out there. So we're going to put this section back on first. And then we are going to put the thermal paste on, and they actually bared the heatsink right here, which is interesting. A lot of people, I've caught a lot of flack for bearing heat sinks. So, you know, people have messaged me like, "Hey, man, don't bear the heat sinks like that. It's not good for it." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah, we're good. I'll do it." So that is that antenna. So it actually comes out pretty easily. They didn't use the 3M tape. There is 3M tape on the back of the antenna, but they didn't use it, which is cool. They're leaving it out for you. So in theory, in theory, you could probably mount this outside of this case, but I don't think that heatsink is standard size. So I don't think I think you'd have a hard time finding a heatsink to match up for that. So let's get some MX7 on the chip, and then we'll put the board back in once we get that other outside bracket put on. Okay, and I'm going to lay it on a little thick because they had it laid on pretty thick too. So I'm not going to slouch off on that. If they put it on thick, I'm going to put it on thick right back. Well, I always put it on thick, so. But let's get this outside shell section mounted first. So we'll just kind of line up these screws and go for it. Now, this is where you'd have to be careful because this is not spring loaded. There is no anything like that. This is literally mounted the board to a massive heatsink. So we will, and then I think the next thing I'll actually try is to see if it's discoverable by Hashwatcher or Hashboard app. I have both. I do utilize both just for funsies, but we'll have to see if we can figure it out. So I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to get this all sent back together and get it back over to the bench. Reverse operation. It's pretty straightforward, guys. Can't mess it up. So anyways, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so we're back and it's mining away. I didn't break it, so we're good there. Awesome. A few things I wanted to mention here. So I decided to try to search for it with like the Hashwatcher app and with Hashboard as well. Neither one of those apps can find this miner. So I find that interesting. I might have to send out a challenge to those developers to see if they can get this one discoverable. That's a very interesting one. The other thing that I want to be, I like the fact that the app is just an app. That is all it is. It's not telling you to sign in with Google or any of this stuff. It's literally like, set the mining pool. Here you go. It's on my pool, so I know it's working for me. That's kind of interesting. Now, as far as background processes, I'm not educated enough in that, but it's pretty straightforward. It is a 5-volt miner. I did double check the power brick to ensure that. So it's running pretty safe, and it's actually running under what they advertise it as. Mine is, at least. This one is running at 19.3. They advertise it as 20. It's also hashing a bit higher than they advertise. Their advertised hash rate is 1.1, and I'm hashing at 1.366 right now, so, or 1.306. Sorry. So it's doing really well. Like it's pretty good. To be honest, that's more efficient than a BitAxe 601. So I mean, I'm calling this a pretty good win. Yeah, it's a little over $100, and then they had shipping to the United States, which, in all honesty, it wasn't bad. But I mean, dang man, this is a great. Not only is it a great looking desk piece, but no moving parts, no fans. You just have your wall brick and this gigantic heatsink in a stand. It's actually kind of cool. We'll leave it running. You know, I'm going to test it for a long period of time. We'll find out if there's any flaws, and then maybe we'll dig in to figure out how, or maybe if we can get, you know, Hashwatcher or Hashboard to tackle firmware things. So anyways, guys, I think that's really it. We got to see the breakdown. We got to see everything about it. What's your thoughts on this guy? Does any of you guys have one of these? Nordic Mining is the guy who said, "Hey, you should get one." So, or he sent me a link for, or tagged me in it, and then here we go. I had to get it. So, thanks to Nordic Mining for sending that, showing me that. Thanks to GreenBit Technology, it was actually shipped pretty fast from across the pond there. It took about 2 weeks to get to me, and that's pretty good coming from Australia to Idaho. So I think that's a win. So, anyways, guys, good instructions. I like the app. It's simple, easy to use. That's about it. So, anyways, and of course they threw in a sticker, which I'm a sucker for stickers. So, anyways, guys, thanks for taking time to watch videos. Do you have one of these? Have you checked one out? What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on this passive cooling setup? I find that very fascinating. So, anyways, guys, like and subscribe. Peace out.